3, 2, 1. Welcome to Cash Cuties, a super personal finance podcast where we analyze our friends' credit card statements and judge their spending habits with love. I'm your host, Fumiabe.
And I'm Stuffy Bake. Few announcements. If you're listening on your Apple Pod app, please leave us a review, hit follow on Spotify, and sub to our YouTube channel for the video version of this podcast. And all the links will be available below in the description.
Yay. And please, guys, these subscriptions, these reviews, they really count. iPhone listeners, just pause this podcast right now. Please leave a review.
Yep.
We have like 143. Let's get that shit popping. Okay, Yay. That's how we get the attention of these Apple people. These Apple people don't give a fuck about us, by the way. They did not feature us on their Asian American Heritage Month page.
What is that?
But that's okay.
But it's okay because we have another chance.
It's next year. We're also not an Asian podcast. Don't get scared, everybody. Dono Daddies. We don't have any Dono Daddies this week, actually. We got 0.
Really? What the heck?
No one donated this week. Yeah.
You guys, this is very important because we do this shit for free.
It is for free.
It's for free.
It's for free. And we're an independent podcast and we're recording in Steffi's apartment. Everything we pay for ourselves. And it would just be nice to get some money for it. Also to help us pay for stuff. You know, like the hosting fees, like $30 a month. We pay for like Canva and shit. Anyways, it's just nice to, get some money for effort. So if you love this podcast and you've left a review and you're like, we want to support you more, please go to patreon.com/cashcutiespod and consider giving us some money. And then in exchange, we give you a shout out on this podcast.
Okay, well, hold on. This morning, I did get one.
Okay. What's chutney?
From Amy F. Thank you so much.
That's really nice.
This morning, I got $20 because, on that onion chutney I wanted to buy on add to cart podcast. I think they're a fan from there. So they were like, you need to go buy the chutney. It literally in the comments says chutney.
That's amazing.
So they sent me $20.
Well, I hope they are listening to Cash Cuties now if they came from that podcast.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people came from Add to Cart podcast. But anyways, shout out to Amy F for giving Stenny $20.
Yeah.
She'll buy an onion sauce or whatever the fuck that is. Moving on.
An onion sauce.
Steffi, how are you doing financially?
I have basically similar stories, but things are looking up, I would say.
Okay.
I want to talk about this. This is what made me happy is I want to introduce you to my little friend.
Okay.
This is Basilico.
Basilico?
Basilico.
It's basil in Brazilian?
No,
Portuguese?
I think in Italian.
Okay. So you bought a
It's
basil.
also wouldn't it be such a cute baby name? Basilico.
That is cute. Basilico, yeah. Basilico.
Anyways, I want to show you guys a tip on how to keep this shit alive. This is one of the hardest herbs to keep alive. I've had 3 different plants. They've all died. I bought this one at Trader Joe's for I think $7 or $8. I've had this for now a year.
Oh, wow.
And what I learned.
Why is it so small?
What
You would think that after a year you'd be big.
Small is powerful too.
Really?
These herbs, because they are organic, because I grew them here.
Okay.
Look at them. They're fresh. This, I thought they were all going to die off. But the reason why they've been alive is my friend taught me about this. Using a bowl, putting water, and it auto picks up the amount of water it needs. What? Auto picked up.
You know what this sounds like?
What?
You didn't have a story planned and you just saw this on the table and now you're making something out of it. You have nothing. Just admit it. You have nothing. You didn't prep shit. You have nothing.
I don't want to do sob stories. I was like, I don't want to sob.
I never asked you for a sob story.
I don't have any fun. What is it? I have no, that is the financial tip that I was like, you know what? I think I would want to know is how to keep this basil plant. You don't have to go buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a bowl.
So get a fucking bowl, get some water, put the plant in there and let the water just drink up and keep it near another one.
Bit. You can't just admit it. You saw it on the table and you were
did see it, but I thought it was but it's like everything's improv. Everything I do is improv.
Okay, let's be honest with our fans, okay?
What?
We're tired because we just had to we're doing this corporate gig. We're getting paid to do a live podcast for a corporation next month or this month for Asian whatever month. We're probably not on the Apple
Asian
thing.
American.
I know we keep saying Asian whatever
Pacific
month. That's
Islander. Heritage
It's Asian
Month.
It's Asian Month. And so we're like prepping for it. And we had to do like just like an hour of work just now. We had to talk to people, interview them to see if they could come on this corporate show. And yes, we're making a lot of money. Actually, the money we're making this month is actually like a huge part of my salary this month. So
Me
I'm
too.
very excited for it.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
really excited to get paid. But we're tired from it because we just did it back to back.
We just interviewed a few people, and they are all very
We
fascinating.
interviewed 4 people to see which 2 would make the best guest for this live podcast show we're doing for this fucking company. We'll see how it goes, but that's what it is. So we apologize on behalf of this operation about Basilico.
Well, also, I think that you have a lot going on with the strike and all that.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be my story.
What's your financial bit that you've planned for days?
No, it's not a bit. It's just like a thing, you know.
Okay, so tell me about your finances.
Okay, so
sir.
This week, so I think on May 1st or 2nd, the writer's strike happened. The Writers Guild of America, the Writers Guild Association decided to go on strike. It's on the news, and I've never done anything. I've never been part of a union before. That's a very American thing. I've never done a strike before. So I'm learning all this, right? So what's happening is like writers cannot get a job for X amount of months until the companies and the guild come to an agreement, which could probably take about 3 months. So we have to go picket and shit. So I went to a fucking strike. I've never been to a strike before. Have you? It's very not Asian. Because I feel like I'm very not involved politically. And this is very political, from like a worker's point of view.
Yeah,
right?
I've only gone to protests, multiple protests.
I think protests are political, but it's different. Because it seems very like, Black Lives Matter or like gay rights. Like it seems more like, yeah, for sure, And like I do feel that way about this, but there is like I've just never. It's just complicated because like we're like standing in front of studios blocking like CBS executives like way so they can't get in and stuff. We have picket signs that say like "fuck you Netflix" on it. We're like just flaunting it around on Beverly Road or Beverly Boulevard.
Protests are like that, right? Have you been to a protest?
I went to like the Asian one, but I didn't really understand it.
What's the Asian one?
The Asian people were like dying or whatever. Remember when they were dying or getting beat up? This is why we're not on
lackadaisical.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah, it's the same thing. You're blocking whatever we're protesting. We are making I guess even including that kind of stuff. But it has similar things where you need to make a
sign.
Did you spend money on that?
No, they do it for you. So the union's very organized. They're very, very organized. So like they
you
have
guys
like
are
captains
spoiled.
and stuff. No. It's not
in
like
that way.
No. We're not paying anyone to do it. It's like we have captains, so the captains do it.
Is it out of their financial pocket or is it the union's pocket, right?
They're not getting compensated to do it. But like, yeah, the supplies are probably paid for by the union, But so anyways, I went to a strike, and it was just so weird because I've never done this before. So I'm like, that morning I woke up and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do you wear to a fucking strike? I had no idea. Like, because you can't look too cute or whatever. So I just like wore jeans, and I went and I get there. Everyone's wearing blue, and I'm like, oh fuck, does that mean something? Like, because how sometimes
there's a color.
And I was
but that's protests.
But I was like wearing green. I was like, what the fuck? But then I realized they give you t-shirts there. So that was nice. And then like I got the sign and I didn't know anyone there, and it felt a little uncomfortable at first because I'm like shouting things and I don't know anybody there. But like literally 2 seconds and I got a fucking splinter because the signs are made out of wood. So like it's right here.
Writers are not made to do physical activities. You guys
so
are not
We're
made.
Dorks.
You're the complete opposite.
We're not physically fit. We don't know how to
a jock.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. Even like the chants where like people are reading it from their iPhone notepads, and I'm like, this doesn't feel very powerful.
Was it kind of quiet?
No. It was
people
good.
Were
it was
loud?
good. People, I mean, like there's power. That's what I realized is like when you're at a strike, you might feel awkward being there, but like it's really about power in numbers. So you being there already, you've already sort of.
I feel like it's like such a when I think of writers, like just top of head, I just imagine a bunch of like, introverted book nerds. You know what I mean?
It's
like, but it's different because it's like Hollywood people. These are like a lot of them are probably actors. A lot of them are like celebrities, right? Because
but they're not there. Celebrities aren't there. These are people who write for like whatever. There's shows. There's countless TV shows.
So did you see a lot of your friends?
No, I just saw zero. Because they're striking at like 7 different locations. I went to the one near my house, Television City, which is ironically where I worked when I was working at James Corden. So I was like protesting there. So I did that, and I don't know, it just felt very American. Last night I went to a meeting and to learn more about it. There were thousands of people. We met at some building at USC. It was like a Shrine Hall or something. Have you been there?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if it's part of USC, but it was in that area. And there's like thousands of people who congregated, and we sort of, and they like the people who were in the committee of the guild like went over how their negotiations went with Netflix, Paramount, all these people. And it's really interesting. And I kind of wanted to like this week I want to talk about, I don't know how fun it's gonna be, but I want to just kind of like do like more of an informational episode about the writer's strike. I'm gonna try to tell it in a way that's more interesting, because I know most of our listeners don't work in entertainment, but I think it affects everybody who watches TV, because no new shows are coming out from now on. And it also affects like actors, it affects directors, it really affects everybody. And I didn't know anything about this shit until like now. Every time I get an email from the guild, I never fucking read that shit, because I don't read anything. I don't like to read, okay?
Yeah.
But like this week, there's like a lot of instructions about like you have to go to these meetings, you have to go to these strikes. They take attendance at strikes, so if you don't go, they know you don't go, right? So I'm like getting more into it. I went to a union meeting last night, and like, it's very like when people say stuff that's inspiring, people go like this. They like stomp their feet. It felt like I was in a movie.
It's a new culture. You have to learn
I mean, it's like as like an Asian immigrant dude, it's like I was a little uncomfortable, because I'm not so comfortable like really speaking my opinions in that way. You know what I mean?
Well, you're like going.
Now I'm in the guild, and I'm in the union, and you kind of have to.
You're being opposing.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, I'm going against the grain.
Oh, you're going against.
I'm going against Netflix, Hulu, Disney, ABC, like the biggest corporations.
Exactly.
And so it feels like not wrong, but uncomfortable, only because I've never done it before. But it was a cool experience.
Do you feel like a rebellious person? Do you feel like you're being a bad boy?
I don't think I'm being a bad boy, but there is a part of me that's like, come on, guys, let's all get along. You know what I mean? But I realize you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
You got to be on one side, unless you're like you're a spy for both sides.
Well, so I guess like a couple years ago, they had what's called a plant. And so apparently like so they strike, the last strike was 2008, 2009-ish. And apparently there was a guy who was at the strike who was being like, this is so stupid. I don't even know why we're doing this right now. Why can't we just take the deal? Who cares? Like being kind of a naysayer.
Yeah.
And then one of the captains was like, sir, can we see your ID card? And it turns out he like worked for the studios. Like he was a plant trying to like from within take down organizations, which is the thing that the government does sometimes. People did that with like Black Panther. People did that with like all kinds of like sort of, rebellious organizations. So it's kind of
protesting. Like during the Black Lives Matter, they said the police cars were planted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember that?
They do shit like that, So it's kind of interesting. But I kind of want to like.
So you got to be careful of who your friends are. Like who the people. Did you talk to people?
Luckily, I'm awkward as fuck, so I'm not making any friends. I've been trying, but I'm not making any friends.
Anytime we hang out, he cuts the night short and he's like, I'm gonna go. There are times that we would be hanging out, like you'd invite me to a house party, and then when I'll be talking to people, schmoozing, I'll turn and he's gone.
Look.
Oh gosh. He's schmoozing and is it making the noise?
No, we're good.
Okay, schmoozing. And then we had a little bit of not a tiff, but I had to have a conversation with him because I turned and he was gone. And so I got worried. I was like, oh my God, was I not paying enough attention to Fumi? Did I do something wrong? Does he not like me anymore? And then I messaged him. I was like, bro, where are you? He's like, oh, I left.
Yeah, it's not personal. I'm just like, I have a social battery. So like, I just have to leave when I have enough. But anyways, I'm trying to sort of get over all these things and go into this new uncharted territory. So today I want to talk about the strike and just kind of talk about like how it financially affects me, you, this podcast, and I think some of our listeners, because it does trickle down. If there are no writers, there are no shows, there are no camera people, then there's no ads to be played, right? It like really affects the whole economy. So I kind of want to like, in like a non-biased way and not without getting into too much detail, kind of wanted to like give. It's actually really fascinating. I've been reading all the emails. I've been reading the Wikipedias, and it's actually just kind of really interesting. So first, I kind of want Is
that why you dressed up like a little librarian researcher?
No, I wanted to bring back 2010 Fumi. I used to dress like this all the time in 2010, and nobody was fucking me. Anyways, so today we're going to talk about a topic that is fucking with both Steffi and Fumi's money, the writer's strike. This is where I wanted to start. I wanted to start with why do writers and actors, people in this like entertainment creative field, need unions? And before getting into like the money and stuff like that, it's it's just a really interesting theory about like Steffi, like just flat out without looking at this, like you want to make it, right? That's why you're doing this.
Yes.
Right.
Let's make it.
If tomorrow, Marvel called and said, Steffi, we want you to be in this new superhero movie. There's a Korean American girl from Torrance. She's a model during the day, but at night, she can spit acid from her mouth and she kills people or whatever.
But she also loves plants.
She loves plants. It's this new super. Do you want to be in this Marvel movie? What are you gonna say? You're gonna say yes.
Yes, but let me consult with the WGA.
No. First of all, this is not a gotcha thing, okay? I'm trying to illustrate.
You've made me scared of what's
to you why we need unions.
Okay, all right. I see. Okay, so yes.
So
yes.
I'm Marvel. Steffi, hi. We want you to be this new Marvel movie. Are you down?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm
Could you come on set starting tomorrow?
Yes.
You are the main character.
Yes. But except on Wednesdays at 1:00. But yes.
Okay. Because
of the pod.
That's totally great. We're gonna pay you $10,000. Is that cool? That's all we have. Is that cool?
Okay, fine. Yeah.
See, and that's why we have unions. Because what you just did there. So it's so crazy because people who work in writing, actors, we never go into it for the money, right? We just love doing it. And so the thing is, I would sell a TV show for fucking Best Buy gift card.
For $2,000. Like
right?
nothing.
But the thing is, if you say yes to this deal for $10,000 to be the main character of a Marvel movie, you're fucking it up for the next person. Because now you set the standard so low.
Right.
And so actually,
By the way, I wouldn't take it for that much, but yes. Okay, yes.
Because people want it so bad.
Yes,
there are other people who do it for $5, right?
Right.
And so actually, did you know this? If you sold a show tomorrow, you're not in the Writers Guild. If you sold a movie tomorrow, the Writers Guild actually steps in and helps you negotiate so that you don't get fucked over and you don't fuck over other writers for selling something too low. So it's actually like really helpful. So that's why like unions are sort of necessary and
keeping
it's really
the
important.
price,
and like they're just cool, like love what you do and you never work a day in your life. Well, I think that's the problem, is because like people who do comedy writing or TV writing, it's so much fun that we forget that it's a job, and we sometimes don't really value ourselves, right? So that's like, it's really, really important. There's only been like 4 strikes. There was one in 1960, 1981, 1989, and then 2007, 2008, and this is the next one. It's always about money. Just to give you an example, in 2007, 2008, it was actually about DVDs. The writers wanted more, so DVDs were becoming a thing, and writers wanted more residuals from DVDs. Residuals means the writer gets money every time the script that you wrote on gets played on TV.
Sure.
It's kind of like if you hear Adele on the radio, she's getting money, right? Or whoever wrote that song is getting money. That seems fair to me. So DVDs are becoming such a big thing. They were like, we need to address this. Like, we want money for DVDs or whatever. And I think at the time they were getting 0.3% of all DVD sales. They were asking for 0.06 or 0.6. It ended up not happening. It's called AMPTP. I forget what it stands for, but it's Paramount Pictures, Sony Pictures, Universal Pictures, Walt Disney, Warner Bros., ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, Netflix, Apple, Amazon. So pretty much anywhere. AMPTP is every place you watch television. They said no. Now the problem is, because streaming took over, right? It's no one's watching like cable television anymore. Streaming residuals is ass. So our friends who wrote for these amazing shows, Dave, whatever, they're making $0 on residuals. Let me show you this fucking tweet.
Dude.
This is a tweet from a writer who wrote Jane the Virgin. This is her residual from writing that show. It's 3 cents. So contrast that with my residuals. I was lucky enough to write for a broadcast show, which means it's on like just anyone's TV, late night shows, right? Like Fallon, Kimmel, Corden, all that shit. I have not worked there for like almost a year. Just a couple weeks ago, I got a check for like $1,400, and it's been like a year.
That's always the case, though, right? With TV broadcast versus streaming.
And this is a problem because streaming is sort of more
it's what's taken over,
right? And in the next 5 years, no one's really going to be watching TV anymore like that, right? And so this is one of the elements that we're sort of arguing about today. And so this is really important because people, you might say, who cares? Writers get paid so much money. Well, it really matters because writers have gigs and then it ends, and then we may not work again for like another year, like I'm doing right now. And residuals help you keep living, and so it's actually like a really, really important part of our livelihood.
I feel like writers are being taken advantage of, and I wonder like the writing part, you guys don't understand, like the writing of a show or a movie or anything is like the key to making a product. Yes, you need money, you need like the directors and all that, but without a piece of writing, you can't
make anything.
You can't have a story.
Yeah.
And it is so hard because I've written some stuff, right? But writing and your perspective, it is hard to... A lot of times the reason why writers are hired is because it's more about their perspective. It's
right.
who, like their experience and things like that. You're kind of selling that once it's sold.
Yeah, you're selling your life story.
You're selling your life story. Yeah. How many life stories do we have? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like the minute you're selling it, you can't necessarily use that same story somewhere else, or it'll be hard to like change it up.
Yeah.
So the fact that this lady, Jane the Virgin, got paid 0.3 cents, 3 cents or whatever.
It's insane.
That's so unfair.
She got more. I mean, she got paid a weekly,
other ways.
whatever.
Okay,
but
whatever you showed
residuals,
me.
right? Like, come on, you wrote it. People were enjoying it. You should be compensated.
Yes.
And so one of the interesting thing about this particular strike is, so for a long time, the WGA was really working with like the Paramounts, the CBS, NBCs. These are people who have been in the television business and the movie business for like years, right? These are like companies that were founded like whenever TVs became a thing, right? Companies like Netflix, right? Apple TV, these are new, and they're not from the TV entertainment business. They're from tech. So they come in here and they don't really understand that, like, they think writers are like sort of replaceable. They kind of see us as like the lowest of the low, kind of like an analyst at a financial firm. They think we're like just people who are replaceable. Is it a personality
thing?
What do you mean?
Like, are they disrespecting not like the technical, like what you guys do, but is it like as a whole, are they like, oh, you guys just like visually don't look like people that like, do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe
like,
I think there's like
I don't know.
I definitely think people like big CEOs of tech companies, they come from a business mind, so they only see numbers. And so because of the example I gave you earlier about how you would act in a Marvel movie for $1,000, they know that about us. So they don't necessarily they don't really respect like the things that we can do, because they know if we really came down to it, we could be bought for $5, right?
They're not creatives. They're not creatives.
And what happens when tech CEOs want to be creative is Quibi. Okay, Quibi fucking failed miserably, right? Nobody wants Quibi. And it's fucked up because, you know, they think that Netflix is like, we give you opportunities, but it's like, don't act like House of Cards didn't put you on the fucking map. Don't act like fucking like White Lotus, like Sopranos, like all like Sex and the City, all these cities on HBO put you on the map. You know what I'm saying? It's not your platform, it's our stories, right? So that's like sort of the argument. And just to give you like, I love the math, right? We love the math. So nearly 50% of writers working today are making, writers working today are making actually 5% less than they were 15 years ago. And that's not accounting for inflation. So
this is writers in the WGA?
Writers in the WGA.
Okay.
And just do some math. Here's another question for you. Would you consider this a success if in one calendar year you got to work for one season of Beef? Would you think that's okay? Yes. So let's do the math on that, right? So for a minimum, like a show like Beef was those 10 episodes. A lot of episodes are like some streaming is like only 8 or whatever, 8 to 10. That's about 9 weeks of work for a staff writer. Okay. Now, staff writers for a 9-week contract, they make $5,000 a week. That's $45,000 minus 13.5K for taxes. That's 30%. Minus 20% for agent fees, right? So you just made $22,500 this year. Is that really success? Right?
On a financial level, no. Is it on, you know, like a reputation and on your resume being a beef writer? That's huge. But financially, which like, you need to live.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's
you have to move back in your mom's house with this,
you
right?
would have to work like to live in LA, which most of these, it's either LA or New York, right? You would to live here, you need at least 4 shows in, right? If you're making this much money.
Saying. And like people often go, once you get another job, it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not that easy. Like, yes, some people get fortunate, but like from the meeting people at these union meetings and strikes that I've been going to, everybody I talk to, they're like, oh yeah, I'm not in a room right now. And that's why the strike is happening, because they're like, I'm not working right now anyways. Like I have time. I don't mind if we go on strike because I wasn't working anyways.
So you guys there's no money. So like for a show like that, you're not making any residuals at this point. Like for a show like Beef. Before the strike.
It's like 3 cents.
That's
I was talking to my friend Jordan Mendoza. He's only written for streaming. He said he's made like $5 or something. Like it's like so small compared to like me. I was able to live like 6 months without working at all after I got let go. What was interesting is Netflix is kind of like swinging its big dick because Netflix has what? Not just TV shows from America, it's TV shows from Korea, Japan, Europe, India. So they're like, well, we don't need you guys because we have, right? If you think about the best shows on Netflix, some of them are American, but there's Squid Game. There's like Old Enough. There's like these weird like shows from India, like Indian matchmaking, whatever. So they're like kind of using that as leverage a little bit. So which makes the situation like a little bit different. So there's like different levels in a writing room. There's like staff writers, there's story editors, and there's like the showrunner who's like sort of the boss, right? What companies have started doing, which I didn't know this, is if there's a show like Beef, I'm not saying this happened for Beef. I'm just using it as an example. The first 9 weeks, we're writing the episodes, right? It's called pre-production. Yeah. Nothing is happening. We're just writing on paper. So I hire you for 9 weeks to write the story, right? Then I fire you or I don't renew you. So you're done working. You've made $22,000. For the first season, yeah. You made $22,000. Yes. Goodbye. Then Netflix will be like, we're just going to keep the showrunner to finish out the show. So the Netflix is just paying one person to do the work of like 10 people for like an additional 3, 4, 5 weeks or whatever to finish the show, right? So they're trying to get rid of that too. It's like you need to hire all of us, together for the period of the show or whatever, so that everybody gets. It's not just about money too. This is really interesting. This is something that I think Mike Schur, he's a very, very famous writer. He wrote for The Office. He's a very, very famous producer. He said this back in the day. There was a way to train new writers. So if you came on, you would write with me, then you would go on set with me, and I could show you like, this is how we write on set. This is what it takes to develop a television show, to make one, right? But because I'm letting you go after 9 weeks, you don't get to learn this part, right? So you're not really growing as a TV person because you only know how to write scripts, but you don't know how to make a show, right? And so they brought this up at the meeting, and to this thing, Netflix said, we'll let the showrunner choose one writer for an unpaid internship so they can come on set and shadow them. Isn't that insane? Yeah. And another interesting element about this is there's an argument about AI, artificial intelligence. And so there was some language, I couldn't find a language, but there's some language about how like you can't, because AI is becoming a thing. So the Writers Guild said, you can't use our members' scripts to train AI so that you can replace us. You can't do that. And to that, Netflix and them said, no, but what we can offer is an annual meeting about it. And so that was like
Are they trying to replace all y'all?
They would in a heartbeat, right? If they didn't have to pay writers $5,000 a week, you know that they would. I think realistically, what would happen is like they would hire like 1 or 2 writers, and they would have ChatGPT write it and a human fix it because it's not going to be perfect, right? Oh, that's what they want to do. But it's like so crazy to think that like they're making so much money off of our ideas, and it's like, I don't know. They're just like, there's just no respect. There's no like, we're just asking to like evolve with the industry because like 10 years from now, there's going to be another new technology, right? And we're just asking to like provide some protection so that we can have families. We can go on vacation. We don't have to worry every day. We don't have to make $22,000 a year, bro. Like, so how's it going?
Crazy. Is it, you said you went to the meeting yesterday night.
So this is the part
so
what
was that
about.
Like?
So every 3 years, every guild, there's the Screen Actors Guild, WWGA, and there's the Directors Guild of America, DGA. Every 3 years, they all renegotiate. So the Directors Guild, their thing expires May 10th. So we are trying to get them to come on board. Because if they strike, now you don't have any directors. And then I think the Screen Actors Guild, the president of that association was at the union meeting last night. And he said, we're with you. So if you guys strike, I don't know if you're SAG or not, but if you guys strike, then there's no more jobs for you either. So then it's like the entire, so no one can direct, industry. No one can write, no one can act. And so then Netflix, all these companies are going to lose millions of dollars because there's nothing that
so
they
have
make.
To do something about this.
They always bend. They always bend. Now, do we get everything we always ask for? No. But that's how negotiations work. Right. And I think like
because we all watch Succession.
Yes, and I think like the tech company part is so interesting to me because like I think when tech entered entertainment, they have so much fucking money, but they don't know what they're doing at all. And I'm not saying that just to be like a fucking leftist. I have friends who work at, when I had this other podcast called Asian Not Asian, my friend worked at Spotify, and they offered me and Mike, the older host, something called the Spotify Podcast Accelerator program. They're like, we are selecting 10 of you to join this program. We're gonna like develop you and give you a salary. And we're like, that sounds cool, but we looked into the terms and we're like, nah, this is not work, because they were offering us like $50,000 a year or something. And we're like, that's not enough for 2 people to live. So we're like, no, because that would also included us being exclusive with Spotify, and we would do downloads. So we're like, no, thank you. Now, it's been 2 years. I've never even heard of that program, right? Have you heard of that program? No, nothing has come out of that program. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they just have actually, the head podcast person got fired because they were making zero money.
They had that green room thing too. I think they just testing all these things out, and they're like hoping people will just kind of
they had a podcast with Obama that was bombing.
Yeah,
you know, like they don't know, they can't do this without us. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And one of my friends was like, they were like trying to get more comedy podcasts, and he was like, can I go to JFL to scout? And they were like, what's JFL? Just for Laughs is like the biggest comedy festival in America. If you're in the industry, you would know what that is, right? But they don't know because they're fucking tech bros.
Right.
Who went to MIT or the fuck. So they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So it's kind of interesting. Like, I think tech people think they're really smart, and they come over and they don't really understand the nuances of like how this works. You know?
So you're threatened by the robots.
So I think like
how do you feel
they
about
would replace
AI?
us in a heartbeat. You know?
Do you feel a certain way
about AI?
Yeah.
This is kind of interesting. I read this article about AI Stephen Colbert versus Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
So they compare jokes. So Stephen Colbert told a joke about Biden, and then they asked AI to write a joke in the voice of Stephen Colbert. And so this is the joke. So this is real Stephen Colbert. He said, of course we know President Biden's real opponent is the ravages of time. If he wins a second term, he will be 86 when he leaves the office, and voters feel, to put it delicately, that is way too fucking old. But what matters is that Biden is young at heart. It's all his other organs we have to worry about. That's the real Stephen Colbert joke. AI Colbert said, big news today, folks. President Biden has announced that he will be running for re-election. That's right. The man who once said he didn't want to run for president because of his age is now saying age is just a number, and so is 78. Now, I know some of you might be concerned about President Biden's age. In a recent poll, 50% of Americans said they were worried about his age, and the other 50% were Joe Biden. But let's be real, folks. Biden's age is not a big deal. He's got the energy of a 30-year-old, and the memory of I forget what I was gonna say. So it's like not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad, right?
It was funny.
It's not bad, and so
it's just crazy.
If this is what it can do in 2023, it's getting better every day because people are writing, right?
So it's a scary time.
That's what I'm saying. So but I think monologue jokes and late night jokes, it's not a fair example because these are just like jokes. They're patterns.
That's
we can learn this pattern,
very intricate,
right?
That is.
I don't know how I would do if we asked it to like rewrite Beef. You know, I don't know if it could do that now, but it could be in 5 years. We don't know. And
but they say that AI is racist. So like, I don't know if they would get the nuances of an Asian American.
What do you mean AI is racist?
If you told it to say something about like, I heard like if you, I can't say the example right now, but it's like if you told a joke about like Asians in Korea and then told it, it wouldn't come out the way it's supposed to come out because they only have the data that it's collected is from a specific place.
Right. So
like it doesn't have all data from all the world.
Uninformed. And so they might be doing like a Japanese reference with a Korean joke or like it's like all
something,
sort of mixed.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And I agree with you, but again, that's how good it is right now. Tomorrow it's going to be better. The next day it's going to be better.
Right. The more info
people input, right? And so that's the fear. And like, I mean, obviously no one can replace my trauma, like not even an AI. So I'm not really worried about it. But you know, for sure, if it can get good enough, there is a world where they're like, can you imagine just fucking like going for a job and like you're up against an AI?
Yeah.
If AI I was talking to someone about this yesterday. There's a writer named Andrew T. He wrote for that 70s show reboot, I think. And he was saying like, if an AI gets good enough that it can come up with its own stories as good as the one we're coming out with, then it's considered a sentient thing. And then the question is not about comedy. Yeah. The question is about, is this slavery? Like, do they even want to write comedy, right? And I'm like, you're absolutely right. It's beyond TV writing. It's just like, now it can feel things. And it has its own ideas that are just as good as mine, a human being.
Okay, leave it up to writers having a strike to get this creative about what's going to happen.
I'm just saying that we don't want slaves. We don't want digital slaves. So why don't you just let us do it? You know what I'm saying? Pay us and let us do it.
I was going to say, I've been seeing like on Instagram, a lot of my friends are like writers, and I see the picket like signs.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel competitive about what you're writing on the signs?
I think we do.
And are you guys judging it? Are you like, oh, well, that's not that funny. They must not be great.
We are 100% doing that. And also, there's also like a quantifiable metric because there are people taking pictures of the funniest ones. And so like, if you have a good one, you'll get a picture taken.
What did you write on yours?
Well, the first day I went, I got the fucking splinter and I was in such a bad mood, so I didn't do it. And I also didn't know anyone there, and I didn't, you know what I mean? So I didn't do it. But I'm going to go again tomorrow. Were you nervous?
Is that an excuse? Were you like, oh, I got a splinter, so now I don't have to write?
I was like thinking about stuff when I was writing it, but it was interesting. Like, I don't, you know, it goes back to the first thing I said about I feel very uncomfortable being vocal about my political views. And I feel so weird writing like fuck Netflix on it. You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to be opposing. I think that's very
I want to keep it vague
culture.
and write like, damn. That was my first idea. I want to keep it vague. I want to be like, I want to be like, for real?
That's literally like ...
I want to keep it vague. Like, man, I'm mad. Like, just keep it vague. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be mad about the splinter. I could be mad about what's happening with Netflix, you know? It's also this concept of like, are we allowed to think of entertainment as a career as opposed to a gig economy, right? That's the other thing. Is right now it's a gig economy. You have people working once a year for a show for 9 weeks. That's a gig economy. The dream of becoming
like freelancing in a way.
The dream of becoming like a full-time TV writer is gone because the contracts are so short. So it's like it's this thing of like, and I think that can be hard to understand for some people because I feel like if I told my parents this, they'd be like, you should be thankful you can even fuck around and talk about dicks for a living. Like, you should be grateful. I think a lot of people do feel that way. They don't necessarily think of writers as like a skill or trade, you know? But now after like reading all this, I'm like, I guess we're like, it's the same thing as being like a car mechanic or like, you know what I mean? It's like a really specific skill. You know what I mean? It's not like we're like fucking around the whole time, you know?
Well, writing is interesting because I don't even know if you need to be a good writer. What I've learned is that in this industry, you don't have to be a good writer, but you have to have perspective and you have to have experience and you have to have interesting experiences.
Yes.
And writing, like having them, but it's not really necessarily like I need to like be a fucking, you know, like, I'm trying to think
the
about
best right like
you don't need to be like,
you know what's so funny, when I was in high school I always thought like I didn't know what TV writing was, but when I hear the word writer I thought they meant like, oh, those are the people who get like 100% on all like the spelling, you know,
that's what I mean,
grammar, and the way they write is so eloquent, but like TV writing is less about that and more about ideas. Like, do you have a good idea?
Yeah.
I don't care how you write it. I don't care if there's spelling errors or grammatical errors. In fact, if there are grammatical errors, that's more character. That's more personality, right?
Yeah.
So I think dude, I got like a 5.10 on my SAT writing. I can't believe I'm like a TV writer. That's crazy to me that I'm like a professional TV writer.
We're both in ESL.
Like, I know. But it's like, I think that was really cool when I found that out, because I think a lot of times like kids who aren't like, you know, you get labeled in high school as like a math kid or whatever, right? Because I don't score the highest on my reading test or whatever. That doesn't mean you're not a good writer. Like, so if anything, the guild and the TV, these opportunities give me more confidence to be like, oh, I can be a writer without writing like I work for the fucking New Yorker. I hate the way those people write, by the way.
Yeah, because you know what?
It's pretentious, man.
It's pretentious, and we can't relate. And I think good writing is partially like the mass can relate to it, can understand,
there's something for everybody.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about beef, you know? It's like, I'm not from here. I'm not from Southern California. I'm not Korean, but I know what it feels like to have a bad day and just let that ruin your life. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've never like killed people over it, but I know what it's like to have like one stupid fight and it consumes my whole fucking life for the year, you know?
You know how to externalize your depression. Yeah, exactly. Rage, it's like humanness or whatever.
Yeah. Hey cuties, we want to take a quick break from the show and tell you that Steffi and I started a Patreon.
What is Patreon? Patreon is the best way to support us and this podcast. Fans can subscribe to our page for however much money you want to give, and in return, you get rewards and perks.
That's right. We'll be releasing bonus episodes where we answer fan questions and get into more of our chaotic lives.
Yes. Just go to patreon.com/cashcutiespod and help us grow.
That's patreon.com/cashcutiespod. Back to the show.
Yay. Okay, now we're gonna answer fan questions for Cash Cuties with our cuties.
Woo.
Christy M. What's an AIT?
Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for leaving my friend's party after they expected their guests to pay for the drinks?
So Christy M sent this. This didn't happen to her, but she wanted her reaction on this Reddit thread.
It's a Reddit thread.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting.
This past weekend, my wife, 41 female, 42 male, attended one of my friend's parties that I was invited to. For context, my friend, 42 male, his girlfriend, 48 female, and their two friends, also mid-40s, male, female, were hosting this party, the four of them together. A few weeks ago, when I received the invitation, I realized that it said on it something along the lines of, please be prepared to purchase your own drinks. Didn't think much of it at the time, considering I just thought we were hiring a bartender or something. But fast forward to the day of the party. I arrived with my friends, and it's my friend and his girlfriend standing behind their kitchen counter that they were using as their bar, charging the guests for drinks. Now I was confused for a few reasons. One, the fact that this party was held at my friend's house. It's not like this was an event space or something where this would be normal, in my opinion. Two, there was no bartender there that they hired or anything like that. It was literally the two of the four of them standing in the kitchen at a time, making drinks for people and then charging them accordingly. Drinks were all under $10. Now, that's so weird. I don't know if this is actually a common thing, but I have never in my 42 years of living been to a party at a friend's house where the hosts were charging you themselves for drinks. My wife and I bought one drink each, stayed for about an hour or so, and said our goodbyes. When we were leaving, my friend asked, why didn't we have that much to drink? I told him because I think it's ridiculous that they were charging their close friends for drinks. He called me cheap and an unsupportive friend. I assured him that I'm not. If the charging of the drinks was for a good cause, like profits go to charity or something, of course I'd buy drinks.
Wow. This is crazy.
This is wild.
This is a crazy story. I mean, right off the bat, have you ever experienced anything like that where your friends are charging for alcohol at their party?
I think when you're young and you go to parties like college, you bring alcohol. It's like bring your own beer, but it's never like a bartender bartending and then I'm charged for that amount of... I mean, it's kind of like when you go to a wedding and it's not the friends, but they hire a bartender. I think at weddings, there should be no like, what is that called? Where the bar's not an open bar.
Oh, they charge you. It's like not an open bar.
I hate
that's so tacky, bro. That's tacky.
Bro, I don't even drink, but I feel for my friends who do drink.
I think they could do a cheaper option, do beer and wine. You know, you don't have to have liquor and stuff like that. No, I agree. I mean, I think the only times I've ever paid for alcohol to a friend like that is like I remember in college, like my friend's hosting a party. He bought all this alcohol and he's like, it's $5 to get in just to pay for all the alcohol I bought. And I'm like, that makes sense because for the $5, I'm paying for the alcohol and I'm having a great time. And there's like a DJ there. That makes sense to me. This is 6 people total at a 6 people. Is that really a party? You know, that's like a dinner party. First of all, logistically,
that's a tiny get together.
Logistically, this is awkward as fuck. Cause like, okay, imagine like me, you, another couple and another couple.
Yeah.
And then so this is like a party and then you're telling me that this couple here is the bartender, so we're like over here chilling and then we have to go over there to buy drinks. Like I don't even understand how it works logistically. It's just like, and it's like, are you paying with Venmo? Is this cash? Do they take credit card? Like,
well, I could only imagine that they're going through a financial problem.
Right. I think my first question was like, instead of being like, what's wrong with you? It's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? It's more like, are you guys okay financially? Like,
yeah,
maybe they're struggling.
Exactly. And at that point, I would kind of feel bad if you were like, hey, bring some money because, you know, I'm going to bartend or some shit.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I would talk shit behind your back. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Me and whoever's next to me, I'd be like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah,
and it's honestly so sad. It's so sad. Like, I guess the writer's strike is still not doing well.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it. I mean, he invited me. He never invites me. He hates being social. So let's and then I'd be like, all right, let's go. And I would bring alcohol. I wouldn't even I wouldn't make you pay for it or anything. That's if it was I'm your friend.
The weird thing is, like, let's just say that this couple was doing bad financially. How much did they expect to make from 2 fucking couples? That's 4 people. Like,
that's
what?
Like $50?
By that point, you should have just thrown a party then. If that was your goal, you know what I mean? Like, you need to scale, girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much could you possibly really, even if I got fucked up, you're going to make like $100.
They should have asked to bring other friends.
Yes. So it doesn't.
It's not a finance. They're not starting a business. The audacity also.
Yeah.
Right? To like, that's.
I will say, like, I think when people are on, like, when people are in like these financial situations, or like generally they're not doing well financially, like people do make rash decisions. I told you this about, like, I don't know. I think they're white. White people do weird things for money. When I was 8, when I just moved to Ohio, we lived next to this like really trashy family.
Yeah.
And I was at their house like playing, and they were like kind of bad kids. Like they got in trouble for like truancy and stuff. But I was over there hanging out with like the son. We were playing video games, and like I didn't really know how to speak English back then. And his mom had all these books from when her son was in 2nd grade or whatever.
Yeah.
And she started teaching me English, and then she went over to my mom and proposed that this white trash lady give me like ESL lessons for money. Isn't that weird? Like shit, like this is kind of similar to this situation. And
it's a cultural thing, so we don't know the culture of this person. And you think that is horrible, dude.
I mean, mom said no.
What did your mom say? Did she say anything?
Well, she was just like, well, you know, like I think a lot of like my parents are very into education, so it's like it's not that we're against the concept of tutoring. It's just that like, what are your qualifications? And like we kind of want someone who's done this before, you know, not just like some guy who speaks a language, you know?
Yeah, it's not like she was in a financial struggle. She just kind of was like, maybe was she just testing it out? Like,
I think she was like, well, I told you they're kind of like white trash. I don't think they were necessarily rich, so I think any kind of hustle. I think they're trying to hustle, you know? I don't think they needed the money. Are they taking
advantage of just
I think there was a little bit of that. I think they were trying to take advantage of my family a little bit.
That's horrible. Okay, one of the things I thought for this was, I don't know why, I imagined a very, because the wife is this older, this dominating woman. And
is that the woman who was charging? My friend.
Yeah, the 48 female and the 42 male, right?
And their two friends were hosting the party
I like
together.
to imagine physically a dominant and a sub relationship. And somehow they were being taken advantage of by the people who wrote the Reddit thread.
Yeah.
Maybe whenever they go out to dinners or whatever, this sub guy just pays every time. And then, right? And then this dom person is like, bro, you're getting taken advantage of, honey. You need to charge your friends.
So the bartender couple is always being financially taken advantage of by the Reddit guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's time to get back at them.
Yes.
And only them.
Yes.
No one else. And so we're going to throw a private party where you have to just give me money that I owe.
Yes.
But it backfired because you only bought one drink and it was under $5. So we made $7 tonight, honey.
The audacity to ask why they only bought one drink.
Oh, I know. That's what's like. People are unhinged. That only makes sense if you're like a psycho or like truly you're going through something. Or maybe it is a revenge thing. I don't know. It's like, that is such an awkward... And I love how the Reddit guy said, I assure you that I'm not being cheap. Like, this is just a weird situation.
But like, I could only imagine you either had to be really poor or it has to be some... Could it just be a cultural thing? Like, you really think... I guess based on your story, it could just be...
we have some white listeners now because we made them feel bad last episode. So if you're a white listener, let us know, like, is this a culture thing? Like, do you guys do this? We don't know if you're being taken advantage of or if this is just, like, a cultural thing. Because I think different cultures can be rude in different ways. If you ever go to China, they're fucking rude as shit when they come out off the train. So, like, in Japan and Taiwan, when somebody's leaving the train, they, like, wait for you to come out, and then you go back in. In China, it's fucking war, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Grandma's elbowing in the face, but it's not considered rude.
It's not rude.
There. But to me, it's rude because I don't come from that culture. So I'm wondering... And
they bring that culture to the U.S., but not trying to be rude. Yeah. It just is
it's just
part
who
of
they are,
it's
right?
Who they
and
are.
So I'm wondering, like, I don't know what culture... maybe they're not white. Maybe they're from some, like, obscure country where, like, it's very common to throw private parties and charge their friends. I don't you know what I'm saying? Maybe they're from, like, Zimbabwe, and that's what they do. It's the people in Zimbabwe, they throw a party with 6 people, and their friends bartend, and that's just the way it is, bro.
Maybe they're from, like, where is that? Is it Sweden? Where things are, like, fair?
Yeah,
fair
like
quality.
Yeah, Norway, one of those.
And it wasn't even rude at all.
Yeah. Maybe he was just asking, like, hey, I thought we were having a good time. Why aren't you drinking more?
Yeah.
It was a harmless question.
I don't know if I would not... Okay, I don't know if it's in the question, but we did read that it said, like, they're not friends anymore based on the Reddit thread and after reading all the comments.
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't need to be friends with them. Like, would you not be friends? Like, I
don't know that I would cut off... Okay, the thing is, they weren't really friends to begin with because if if I did this to you, you would talk shit, but wouldn't you pull me aside and be like, hey, what's going on? Wouldn't you do that to me? If you were my actual friend, I would do it to you.
But do you think it's because you and I are so open with money and we're creatives, so like we are more open to being emotionally like vulnerable? Like, you know, we would.
But no, it's because we're friends. If I wouldn't do it if we weren't friends. If Eunice from episode 4 or whatever invited me to a party and she did that, I wouldn't say anything because I don't know her very well.
But would you not be friends with her from then on?
I probably wouldn't go to another party because
so they're not really friends.
I don't think they're really friends. If a real friend did that, you'd be like, bro, considering you have history together, you'd be like, what's going on? This is weird, dude. Like, you would say that to a friend.
No, but that's because we're open and we do therapy. Most of the U.S. are not willing to openly like have discussions.
See, this is why
we're behind.
This podcast is important. You have to talk about money. If these people listen to Cash Cuties, they could have still been friends. And you know how hard it is to make friends in your 40s.
They'd be closer friends.
They would be closer friends because they would laugh about it.
They would laugh.
Remember that one time you fucking Venmo me for a vodka tonic at my own house? Ha ha ha. They would laugh about it. But now he has no friends, you know? Okay, we have another question from our fan Raymond T. And this is what he had to say.
Hey, Cash Cuties, big fan. This is Ray from New York. I'm calling in to ask, how'd you determine what health plan to get? I know when you're like a freelancer, or when you're working like, you know, your corporate jobs, would you pay more for the higher premium plan that covers everything, or would you just be cheap and go for the plan that, you know, doesn't cover anything? And then, you know, because I think, you know, we're all relatively young and we're all relatively healthy. So then is it really worth it to go for the higher plan when you just go get a checkup every year and stuff like that? Something, you know, I feel like I struggle with sometimes because I feel like it's the psychology, right? Like, you know, should you get higher coverage just in case, or should you just, you know, be cheaper and go for nothing and just, you know, hope for the best? Thanks.
Okay. Raymond, he sounds sick.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I
but I don't know if it's like just a health problem.
He said, well, I don't know what, it sounded like he was out of breath, is what I meant.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like he had just done a workout and was like,
yeah.
I have a crazy idea. I need to call it Cash Cuties.
He sounds
out of breath. Very important
he
question.
out of breath, or he's just eating potato chips. That's what it sounded like.
He might have tripped on his way from hiking and was like, oh my God, I need to get health insurance. Who do I call? Cash Cuties.
Health insurance is an interesting topic. We had some people email about this too, so this is a good topic to cover. It's interesting because I didn't, you know, we talked about this yesterday to prepare for this. I didn't know that you've never worked for like a corporation, so you've never had company insurance. So you're not really familiar.
I haven't.
You're not too familiar with like the different levels you have access to.
No, I'm so ignorant to it.
So what has your history been with health insurance?
People with
how is your relationship with insurance?
I was always on a family plan until I became an adult, and then.
What do you mean by family plan?
It was like my mom and I.
Oh, your mom's company.
No, it was personal.
It was just
it's not a private insurance.
And what kind of private what's it called?
It was Anthem at the time.
Okay.
And then I think they got bought by like Blue Cross. And so but I learned during that time, if you're older, you have to pay more for insurance, and I pay less. And we didn't have like a big, like we were the type of people, and I think a lot of immigrant families are like this. We didn't take care of our bodies like that. We didn't go get regular checkups. We, like the way like my white friends would, like anytime they had like a tiny mole grow, they would be already at the dermatologist. Or like, I remember like my best friend growing up, she would, anytime there was like anything wrong with her, if she was like, she'd be like, oh, she had milk, and she'd be like, oh, my stomach hurts, and she's like at the doctor's. You know, like she was just immediately already like made an appointment. She had come back. Yeah, she had like some mole thing on her face, and she got it removed. And I thought that was crazy, like in elementary school, to be doing that. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, oh, she must be sick, like actually sick.
Because in your mind, you only go if you have cancer. Like, that's what you're thinking.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to be like in your deathbed.
That's interesting. You think it's an Asian thing.
Is that not? Because my friends...
So. I went all the time because I come from a family where like everybody got sick pretty bad. So like, I think my parents were scared. So like, and we're paying for insurance. So we're like, yeah, we go. Obviously, we do the annual check like everybody else. But like, I didn't go. I mean, I go now more often because I'm an adult. I didn't go that often when I was younger because I'm young. But like, yeah, in my 20s, like, I remember I came to LA once and I slipped on a bird scooter and I like fucked up my hip. And so like I went and got some like physical therapy, like my eczema, like I get a little cream to like treat it. Like, so yeah, I go a lot.
Yeah. So if I heard that at that age, I'd be like, little bitch.
Yeah.
I would think you're a little bitch.
That's so interesting. You know,
because it was like something I must have connected it to weakness. I was like,
yeah,
if you're at the hospital.
See that.
But now that I'm older, I'm like, it's so important like to catch the thing before the thing is a big thing.
And also like, I think as an adult, you know this, you pay so much for insurance. Like I can't even imagine how expensive how much are you paying for private insurance?
So at that time, I think I was $160 and I think my mom's.
How old were you? Like 22?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think it used to be $70 in high school when I was paying for my.
That's so cheap.
And then at some point I had to, start paying for it for both of us, me and my family. And so I think I remember it was like 140 and then hers was probably like, at some point it was like $300, something like
500 for two people.
not 500. Like at that time it was like something like $300.
Yeah.
And then when I got my business, the real estate business, under the business, we had our own insurance, and I'm still under that insurance with my ex-partner.
Yeah. And how much is that?
That is $800
a month.
And we have an employer to under it. So they're getting insurance through us.
Oh, right.
Like from through the business, we're the employers, and then so I pay about $800 something.
Right now, you're paying $800 a month.
Yes, but it's half him and half me.
So it's $400 each.
Yeah, $400
but if
for insurance.
it's going through the company, it must be really good.
I know it's like something like 40. I pay 40% once the deductible is met,
What's the deductible?
I think it's $8,700.
Oh.
6 to 8. I don't understand why there's two different. There's like a 67 and then an 8,700. So I don't know
usually when there's two, it's because you're in it with somebody else.
Yes, that's what it is. The 87 is for the two of us. Yes, so but if it's just personal, I think it's 6,000 ish.
Right. Yeah.
So can you answer this thing that I don't know?
Yeah.
Once that amount is met, does that mean then they pay 100%, or is it at that point that I only pay 40%?
It really depends on your rules. What I would assume is, typically, I think what you're describing is like an HSA plan. Typically, I've never done an HSA plan. I'm going to do it starting September. I thought it meant you are responsible for the first $6,000 or whatever it is, and they don't pay you anything. You're responsible for the first $6,000. After $6,000, they pay everything. But that part is dependent on maybe your insurances, they pay 80 and you pay 20. That's up to how good your insurance plan is. I think the one I'm going to join is like they pay everything after I hit, I think it's 6,000 for me and Maria both. And it would be 3,000 if it was just one person.
And then you pay all of it by them. They pay.
I think obviously there are exceptions. Like, if it's really expensive, maybe you have to pay 10% or 20%. But yeah, they pay the majority of it.
So is that why everyone, like my friends and you, when you were younger, were trying to go so you can maximize?
So no, so that's an HSA plan. What I was on is a PPO plan, which means I pay like. When I worked at a company, I think I was paying like probably $400 a month, and the company was paying like an additional $300 or something, so a total of $700 or $800. And I didn't have a deductible. They paid everything right away. I just have to do a copay, but I pay more a month, right? So if I'm paying $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year, right? So it's about the same. So it's like, do you want to pay? Do you want to guarantee you pay it? If you do the HSA, what if I don't get sick that year? I save myself $6,000, right? So that's the difference. It's like the plan that I was on, I pay more, but I don't have to pay shit, right? So that's the difference. So I think if you're younger, that's one of my biggest regrets. I'm so risk averse, even with health stuff. I was on the best fucking plan when I was like 24. I didn't need it. I was so healthy. I think if you're in your 20s, you should do an HSA plan because you're probably not going to spend $6,000 worth of medical expenses or whatever your plan is. And so a lot of times even if you drop $2,000, you're saving $4,000 and divide 2K by 12. That's how much you're paying per month. That's a really good deal for pretty good insurance. So like I would, if you're younger, if you're in your 20s and you don't have any crazy medical conditions, I would do this HSA plan by yourself. Hopefully you're not married, so it's like a little lower. And I would just do that. I think that's one of my biggest regrets because I did that for over 10 years and I really I really wasted so much money, like
Wow.
paying like $500-600 a month. When I quit my full-time job, I got a job at Comedy Central. It was a freelance, didn't give insurance, and so I went on Cobra. Cobra is this thing, because I'm only explaining because you didn't know what it was. It's this thing where the company allows you to keep their insurance, because insurance through companies is usually like better, but the company no longer pays for it, so you have to pay the full. So me and Maria together for like a year and a half, we paid $1,800. It was crazy, but we got it because COVID was a thing, and so we were like, well, if I get sick now, I'm fucked. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna pay for this.
Wow. Damn, that's so expensive.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, health insurance in this country is fucking crazy. Yeah.
Are
you happy with your insurance? Are you going doctors and stuff?
Still don't go. It's a habit.
Then why are you paying?
About not because isn't it? Don't you legally
no,
need
not
to?
anymore. Trump when Trump got into office, he quit.
I just, you know what? When I broke my ankle 2 years ago,
you gotta go. Yeah.
I was so grateful I had it.
Yeah.
I still had it, and it did help me. I did meet up to the 6,000 whatever.
Yeah.
And so that honestly, that was when I was like, okay, I still don't really understand how much I spent. All I know is my medical bill just to go to the emergency room would have been $60,000.
And then how much did you pay?
During that time, that's what I don't really know, because the other thing I did was I asked for financial help with the hospital.
Yeah.
I emailed them and I was like, hey, I really didn't have money. Can you help waive this? And they had a program that helped. And I'm pretty sure that's why I didn't end up paying.
So how much did you pay?
I think I ended up paying like 10 or 11K.
For your foot?
Dude, I broke my ankle on both sides. I just was walking.
Oh, you fell?
I slipped
and you
right in front of the gym.
You called an ambulance?
Bro, you know what
damn.
really happened? I was being late to the gym.
Okay.
And my personal trainer we went on a trip up a mountain, and we were at the mountain. He's like, you're always late, which was like kind of an attack that I just like don't take it seriously. So I was like, no, the beginning of the year, I'm going to be on time.
Oh.
So I fucking ran.
And you slipped.
Because it was 12:59 and my workout was at 1.
Yeah.
I ran, and at that moment, that's when I slipped, and I still FaceTimed him after I fell and hurt the break.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm here.
Oh my God.
But I'm outside, and I looked at it and he thought I was bullshitting that I was late. Like,
oh my God.
And then I was like, no, I'm right in front of the gym. And he came out, he was like, oh my God.
And you're in an ambulance?
Yeah.
Bye.
But you know, that's crazy. Like an idiot. I had a callback for a McDonald's commercial.
Yeah.
And I still went with the broken ankle before going to the doctors.
Did you get it?
So but they called, they were like, oh, we like you,
but your foot's broken.
No, but they didn't, but it was during the height of the pandemic, so they didn't want anyone that went to the hospital, because then you're more likely to get COVID. And
so they cut you.
So they didn't. Yeah. But we would have been definitely one or two of the top choices for sure.
So are you still with this personal trainer? It looks like he ruined your life. It really sounds like
I can't blame him.
Yes,
right?
You can, because you wouldn't have tripped and you would have gotten this McDonald's money and you wouldn't be here right now.
did.
It's all his fault.
What I learned, I did think it was partially his fault, but what I learned is that you cannot allow other people to affect you as a person, whether you're going to be late or not, whatever. I was just like, oh, I'm just never going to listen to anyone else.
Also, like, why does he give a shit? Because your lesson ends at a certain time. So if anything, he gets paid to not do anything.
Well,
for 20
he's
minutes.
giving me he's a deal. Like, it's not,
that's on
he's
him,
like,
you know?
I know,
if
but
I had you
what?
for 45 minutes and you were late, I would only train you until.
I think he felt guilty of that.
After the foot thing.
I think he did, but
Yeah,
he was the one that drove me to the audition and everything, and that was like literally an hour away.
This is psychotic. That's okay. This is really crazy.
I know.
But anyways, everybody should go get checked, especially if you're in your 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I bet your liver's fucked. I bet everything's fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious, dude. Like everything
Fear
really
of God.
changes. So I would recommend getting the good insurance plan if you're in your 30s. Yeah.
Wow, wait, did he say he was in his 30s?
He didn't say what age, but you know what? He sounded, kind of out of breath.
You're right. If he's in his 20s, because I never used it, get the cheaper thing. But if you're in your 30s, after you're 30, 31, 32, you should start getting the nicer. Yeah. You just never know what's going to happen.
I know. It's the health. Yeah, it's a gamble. I don't know. All these people, like I have a lot of friends who just don't have insurance, and I'm like, it's crazy because it's not like
really?
that.
You know people that don't?
Oh yeah, so many people like all my friends in Brooklyn and stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Comedians, yeah, so many. They don't pay for it.
I
'cause
read
they can't
somewhere-
afford it. They can't afford $500 a month. That's crazy. That's so much money.
I read somewhere that if you don't pay off your hospital bills, they can't really come after you.
I read that too.
You did,
I read
right?
that
What
too.
is that? We need to find out if that's
well,
true.
but I don't know if it's true because I think what they do is they sell their debt to a debt collector, and then that guy annoys the fuck out of you. But like, and your credit goes down if that happens. But like, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I heard like hospitals can't like. Yeah, hospital. They're not like the mafia. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't like Cedars-Sinai can't come to your door and like break your kneecaps.
But I guess I'm worried what's going to happen to my like credit or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We have to look into that. But anyways, Raymond, we think you should get insurance, and we hope that you get. If there is something wrong with you, we hope
Just
you get
eat
checked out.
and also try to eat healthy.
Eat slow. Eat slow. That was our episode, Cuties. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed it. Please follow us on socials at Catch Cuties Pod. I'm also on there at the Fumi Abe. That's TAGFUMIABE.
And I'm at my Instagram's Baked Goods, BIKEDGUDS. My website is stuffybaked.com. And
check us out on Patreon.
Patreon?
Patreon.com/CatchCutiesPod for bonus content. Oh yeah, there's bonus stuff on there. It's not just money. You get stuff. There's bonus episodes. Steffi's posting like foot pics and shit. It gets crazy on there, man.
There's more than foot pics.
Ooh, so check us out, man. And if you feel like Venmoing us, please get us at the Fumi Abe and Steffi is me.
Thank you. Wow, you knew that one. All right.
I think that's it. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, spend your money wisely.
Or don't. Have fun. Bye.